Okay, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames, messieurs, damen and herren, welcome. This is a panel about Canada, a panel about advanced manufacturing capabilities in Canada. Here, I'm glad to be joined by a full delegation of Canadians up front. Everybody from Canada put up their hand. These are the people. These are the people you need to meet in order to do business in Canada. I can tell you that, along with our panelists here. So I'm really glad to be joined by Gate Gomez, by Denis Mathilde, and by Daryl Greatrix. Here from, and I'll ask each of them to say a little bit about what their organization, what their business does. But I wanted to start off, first of all, by talking about what is advanced manufacturing, especially from a Canadian perspective. And I want to say, first of all, that there aren't very many locations in the world that have the concentration of research capabilities, of educational and training facilities and institutions, of technical companies, technology providers, both large but particularly small, very, very vibrant startup sector, as well as the variety of manufacturers than in Canada. And I'd say particularly in some of the major urban areas, like the area around Toronto or southern Ontario, in southern Quebec, in the Montreal area, Vancouver, Calgary, and in Halifax, for especially in the maritime applications of technology. So it is a very, very dynamic startup sector. It's a very well-established manufacturing sector. It's going through problems like all manufacturers are today. But I have to say, look, a challenge for manufacturing is an opportunity for innovation here, and that's where I think we're all convinced that about the importance of advanced manufacturing, and why this is going to be so important in Canada's future going forward. So first of all, what's advanced manufacturing? And then say a few things about the metal industry and the metalworking industry in Canada, and then we're going to turn our attention to three of our clusters that are very, very active in the field of advanced manufacturing. So when we talk about advanced manufacturing, we're really looking at two things: manufacturing, but also the adoption and the scale up of technology, and the use of technology in manufacturing, but also the scale up of technologies that involve some form of device manufacturing as well. So it's production, it's technology and IP, but of course it's also about people. And I think it's that combination of the production capabilities, production capabilities of the IP, the technology, and how that is managed, how people operate that technology that really makes the difference. And of course, Canadian manufacturing, like manufacturers around the world, is going through a real period of transformation. We're probably on the front line as the world's largest exporter to the United States and the world and America's largest customer. We're on the firing line for new American tariffs, and it of course has a big impact on our ability to sell into the United States, but also, of course, all the supply chains that are tied to an integrated North American system of supply. And I have fingers crossed that this idiocy is not going to last as long as some people say it is. But you know, this is above all the time when Canadian companies are looking at advanced manufacturing, not only the adoption of new technologies to reduce cost, improve efficiency, improve flexibility, improve agility, but also the ability to find new customers, pivot into new markets, into new product lines, and new suppliers as well to diminish the risk of doing business across the Canada-U.S. border. And of course, that just creates more opportunity for innovation partners, for technology companies, for manufacturers here in Europe and around the world, outside of the United States, but also for Canadian companies as well to relocate supply chains and to improve their business. We've been under the gun. Actually, Canada's been subject to U.S. tariffs for a long time, particularly in the lumber industry, and all it's done is made Canadian companies far more productive than their American counterparts. And I don't know if that's good or bad, because the Americans keep responding by putting up our tariffs there. What it has led to, of course, is the adoption of very advanced systems in the lumber industry, and in many other sectors. I'm sure that this is going to also be the case there. Canadian, and I'm an economist by background, so I want to give you this figure there. Canadian manufacturers have been improving their productivity, labor productivity, at twice the rate of U.S. manufacturers since 2010. And Canadian manufacturers are, on average, more profitable than their U.S. counterparts. And they are because Canadian companies do not compete on volume. They compete on value, compete on service, they compete on product specialization, on customization. And the nature of Canadian industry, because we're looking at a lot of small companies that are competing on a global stage, and frankly, in the most competitive market in the world, which is the North American market, you need to be doing something that is going to distinguish yourself from your competitors. And I think that's what Canadian companies have been doing. I think it's going to be much more important for them to continue to do that here, but it really points to something that is changing the business of manufacturing right around the world. That manufacturers, and particularly with new technology, manufacturers can no longer see their business as getting product out the door. They need to think of their business as providing a solution. And often today, that solution comes through an integration of technologies, it comes through more service. Approximately 30% of all of the revenue generated by Canadian manufacturers today comes from service. And that does not include the services that are embedded in product sales, so the warranties, the maintenance, and things like that. So it's a very different business of manufacturing. It's in Canada. It's really focused on greater degree of specialization, and of course, technology is going to play a much more important role in that. Just a quick plug for the organization that I head up, Next Generation Manufacturing Canada. We're a not-for-profit organization. We lead Canada's advanced manufacturing cluster in Canada, so we represent companies and have companies in our membership that are not only manufacturers from every sector of manufacturing, but also some of Canada's leading tech companies and tech startups in robotics, in additive manufacturing, in metallurgy, in mold making, which I also represented up here today. But also in AI and physical AI, which is a particular strength of Canada in the advanced manufacturing sector, in advanced materials, in quantum computing, in biomanufacturing. So all of these technologies that are really reshaping industry right around the world, talk about Industry 4.0 or however we want to describe it. I think that's kind of, I know Industry 4.0, there's a special connection here to Hanover, because this is where it was first introduced. But I think today we're now into a world of much more smarter, more autonomous types of technology. And Industry 4.0 is probably a good catch-all phrase, but I think we're well past the era of digitization and connectivity, and now thinking about how AI and autonomy is really reshaping the world of manufacturing. But that's kind of the ecosystem that we lead. We have about 9,000 members across the country, and we help them put together collaborative, transformative projects that really reshape the business of manufacturing, new manufacturing processes, but we also do things like trying to attract young people into careers in advanced manufacturing, and of course promote Canadian capabilities worldwide, which is time for me to stop talking and pass the word over to my other panelists here. So I'm going to start with you, Gabe, and then we'll go to Denis and then Daryl here, and just maybe tell us a little bit about the organization that you represent and its role in advanced manufacturing in Canada.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you, Jay, for the introduction. So once again, my name is Gabe Gomez. I'm here on behalf of the Canadian Robotics Council. We're a cluster of companies. It's annual membership based, and we are here to promote the advancement of robotics and fueling Canadian economic development, leveraging robotics, right? So what does that look like? The council is comprised of Canadian and international firms. So I'm up here on the stage with arms wide open, welcoming international firms that want to play a part in forming the future of Canada, leveraging robotics. The Canadian Robotics Council hosts annual symposiums where we get together, we have conferences, we have roundtable discussions in order to determine which verticals, which sectors, such as mining, forestry, natural resources, advanced manufacturing, and life sciences, food and bev. So it's really a very, very diverse group of companies. We get together, we host monthly meetings to try to share and cross-pollinate ideas on what's working, what's not, what should we do more of, and so on and so forth. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's it, and I guess I can pass it over to Dennis.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Denis,
Hello, me, it's Denis Mutel. So I'm represent here the CMQ, or the Centre de Métallurgie du Québec. And so the CMQ, it's a Applied Research Center, and we are to help company in metallurgy to develop new materials or new parameters and many things, and we help small and also big company. For example, we can help like in aeronautic, in hydroelectricity, mining, everywhere where there is metallurgy. So it can be also corrosion. And yeah, one of the big advantage of the center is that we can help on all the chain. We can start to the simulation for thermodynamics, and after that develop new alloy and try to develop new parameter for additive manufacturing. And also we have a rolling to produce wire and metallography lab. And we are also a NDT center, so we can do some NDT analysis.
So. Good.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daryl Graytrix. I'm a tool and die maker. I spent the first 15 years of my career in the stamping industry and the last 12 years in the injection mold industry. I'm here representing the Canadian Association of Mold Makers. We represent the mold makers of Canada, and we come together to try and have one strong voice to represent our industry. And right now we're working on a project to try and recruit the next generation of mold makers in Canada, and that's through virtual reality. One of the obstacles we face is that 99% of the population doesn't know what a mold maker is. So we're putting together a virtual reality experience that we can take into schools to try and attract, bring something that the kids can associate with to show them what a mold maker is and what we do.
Thanks, Cheryl. And maybe Denis and Gabe, let me, I know trying to attract young people into careers in advanced manufacturing is a challenge, but it's so important because we've got 25% of the manufacturing workforce going to be retired by 2030. So we've got to make sure that we are attracting young people into the sector, and they're the ones that are going to be using technology much more as well. Denis, what sort of activities does the center run, or what sort of partnerships do you have to attract young people?
So for our case, like we are a research center and we have like many different sectors for the development. one of the big issue, like you say, is to attract young people, because I was in the same position, and when I start, I was thinking metallurgy is only like foundry, putting playing with the hot metal, and I didn't know about additive manufacturing and all this kind of development. So for our project, we try to use different technology, like we want to apply AI in additive manufacturing, and we work with like big company like Pratt & Whitney, Hydro-Québec, and to resolve some issue with, for example, corrosion, and have like new material to be more efficient, and
Oh, that's good. Thanks, Denis. Gabe, I know the Robotics Council is very active here as well.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so I'll start off with a couple different, sharing with you folks, a couple different initiatives which the Robotic Council puts together. First, it is that we embrace any company of any size, right? So that's either a single person operation, one-man company, to larger organizations. We get together once a year, Canadian, during the Robotics Council, as I mentioned earlier, to discuss and to try to kind of come together and think of new strategies on how do we open the membership and make any company that wants to be a part of shaping Canada's future with robotics, how do they become aware of that? I'm going to speak about one company in particular that's near and dear to my heart. It's a company that was started about a year ago in robotics education. So what this looks like is the founder, Dave, he started a company called Lord of Robots. So the name's a little, it sparks a little bit of curiosity, but what that is they've created a platform where young people who are interested in learning how to program robotics, they can do so. And the price of this kit is actually very, very reasonable. It's around $150 Canadian, and it's a platform. What we're trying to do is lower the barrier to entry to those students, particularly in underserved communities where their high school might not have the resources to offer a robotics kit per student. And the reason this is important is there's an association called First Robotics Canada, and they do an amazing job. Those teams of high schools, they're usually very, very large teams, and they're divided into the marketing team, the business, funding, and then there's the engineering team. And so all of the teams that join a club within First Robotics, they don't all have the opportunity to play with the engineering tools, right? Which is probably why they joined the club in the first place. And so what we're trying to do here with Lord of Robots is provide an opportunity for all students to play with the programming and the robotics, 3D printing, designing, and assembling with servo motors and gearboxes. I know I'm getting a little technical, but this is an area that I'm passionate about. So the Canadian Robotics Council welcomes companies of all different domains. Educational, large established companies. We have ABB, we have Auto Motors from Rockwell Automation. So it's truly the council welcomes any company that wants to play and contribute into Canada. So a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, that's great. So we have a couple of projects too, and from NGen, we're supporting a lot of other activities from our partner organizations across the country. But one of the initiatives we've been running is an initiative called Careers of the Future. And the idea is just simply to inform young people and students and parents about the opportunities in advanced manufacturing. But it was interesting because when we put that together, some old guys like me thought, we just have to entice young people to come in through technology. I talk about new technology, and that's what is going to really raise their interest. And then we talked to many young people, and they said, we just assume you're working with technology. That's not really what's going to attract us in. What's going to attract us is that you're going to make something that is really going to make a difference for the world. And when we think about manufacturing and security and health and food and sustainability, well, you've got to make things in order to get the benefits and the outcomes and impacts across society. And that's what is really attracting many, many more young people today. But it's an issue that regardless of where I travel to, The issue is how do we bring young people into the sector? But let me, Gabe, you were mentioning about inviting robotics companies to be part of the Robotics Council. And I think that's really important because when Canada comes to a fair like EMO, we are bringing with us companies that not only have great technologies and great capabilities to offer potential customers, but also companies and organizations that are looking for investors, they're looking for partners, they're looking for suppliers here too, and in many cases doing both. Have a capability, but also looking to grow their supply chain and to source product to source knowledge and technology from around the world, and particularly here in Germany. But let me maybe go from Gabe over to Daryl again, but ask you just your sense of EMO. What has something really stood out? Has something surprised you here? What are you going to take away and take back to Canada about this fair?
Okay, great question. Daryl and I, we spent most of the morning in Hall 6. And within Hall 6, there's a section for German startup companies. There are so many small companies that we don't know of, we haven't heard of in Canada. And one way that the Canadian Robotics Council can give them a platform on our marketing methods is they can sign up, annual membership. The information, if anybody's interested, you can come and see me after the talk. You can sign up, and we've actually approached a couple companies. They seem very interested. They were thinking of targeting other regions of North America before Canada, but this allows them to kind of kill two birds with one stone. They can send a sales team into the U.S., but also via the Canadian Robotics Council, they can. We can, in a way, speak on their behalf, not be their sales company, but provide certain warm introductions where we see a right market fit for their solution. So really, right now, our effort here in Germany is a two-way street. We can bring technology from Canada to the world, but also we're here to let know we want your robots. Canada's geography is extensive. We don't have enough manpower, resources to fulfill all of the different verticals that we need. So. Yeah, we want your robots. We want them. We embrace them in Canada.
Yeah. Denis, what stood out for you?
So, as we say, we are more a research center. So we don't sell robot or machine. We sell more a service for research. So the thing for me, EMO is very, very big. Like it's the first time that I saw a show like this, and it's more like to approach new company and say, oh, we can develop, for example, a new material. And if a German company start a project with us, it's also a good opportunity for the German company to know a Canadian company and start a business and a friendship between German and a Canadian company.
So, Denis, what sort of materials are you developing now?
We develop a little bit of everything. Like we can develop steel, nickel alloy, copper alloy, a lot of super alloy with nickel and also zirconium. And it's very because we have in our facility we have the capability of produce also powder for additive manufacturing. We have 3 types of atomizer, one gas atomizer, plasma, and ultrasonic one that we obtain with a Polish company. So we have already some partnership with Europe, but we try to improve this and growing up in Europe also.
And you've got lots of examples on display over in our pavilion over here in the corner in Hall 12. Daryl, what stood out for you at EMO?
Yeah, Jay, there's been a couple things. This is my first time at EMO, so yeah, one thing is the sheer size, and even with being in the industry for 25 years, it feels like when I'm walking around, I recognize maybe 25% of the names of the manufacturers of CNC equipment, which is, it's a little bit shocking. Secondly, Gabe and I talked to a couple different companies who, you talk about the brain drain and how many skilled trades people are retiring, and all that knowledge we're going to lose. And so there's a couple companies that have a great idea, and it's super simple, but it's with your experienced people, you strap a GoPro on their chest, have them video some of the work they're doing, and then they have it's set up, hooked up to AI, so it's all interactive, so you can share it with your younger people. They can read through it, they can ask questions, and then you're not losing all that knowledge when the next, yeah.
Right. We were talking about advanced manufacturing. We were talk about manufacturing, talk about technology, talk about skills development too. But I think Canada's got a pretty unique setting in the world here as a result of the trade agreements that we have, which even though we're being challenged right now, Canada still has the lowest kind of effective tariff rate in the United States. That's close to 90% of the products that we export to the United States are coming in duty free as long as people are compliant with the trade agreement, which is an issue. But Canada's got our trade agreement with CETA, with the European Union. We have trade agreements with Asia Pacific as well through the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement there. So and then with many, of course, with Mexico in North America, and then also with Chile and other economies in Latin America too. So it still is a great hub for any company that is looking to do business anywhere around the world, or to find business partners there to take you into the North American market. And I do want to point out two of our guests here in the front row are trade commissioners from the Canadian Embassy in Berlin. So if anybody wants to put a cool $1 billion down on the table and come to Canada, Kristen, Sebastian are the folks you need to talk to here as well. See what sort of sales job that we can do up here. So as you look forward, and maybe you start, Gabe, and go this way too. Denny, you're always in the middle here. Are you, given we're looking at challenges around the world in manufacturing, and challenges in Canada too, but as you look forward, are you optimistic about what's happening in the world of manufacturing, or what's your sense of the near future?
Yeah, me too. I'm optimistic. Like me, I come from France, so I did all my PhD and my work in Canada, and I saw like the big opportunities that we can have in Canada, especially in Quebec, because I'm mostly in Quebec. And I saw, for example, Quebec is a big territory, so there is many places for new companies that coming and have space to establish a company, and also we have cheap electricity. That is a very good point for metallurgy, because metallurgy, you use a lot of electricity. And now we saw, like in additive manufacturing, like for example, this open a new field with complex geometry. For example, in battery, we can print battery with more complex geometry to improve the cooling rate and other applications. So yeah, I'm really optimistic.
That's great. Maybe before we pass on to Daryl, did you want to say a few things about the university system, especially in Quebec, and particularly in some of the areas around advanced manufacturing?
Yeah. So in Quebec, we have there is two big universities that working, or maybe three, working in additive manufacturing. There is McGill University at Montreal, and also where I did my PhD at Université Laval. So, and this, it's open, like it's a different way to think compared to France. Like it's more open mind. You have you can try everything you want. And there is at Université Laval, in the university, we have an atomizer. So we have big capacity to improve and to do some research. And the CMQ, it's a part of college. So it's a center, it's a research center associated with a college. So students from around 18 to 21, 22 can come to CMQ and do internship to improve the knowledge and
Right.
growing up in this field.
Okay. Oh, thanks, Denis.
Yeah.
Daryl, optimistic?
Yeah, yeah, I'd say I'm optimistic, but I think we've got a lot of work to do. And that's one thing I learned, when we're in Canada, we talk about how we have to get kids into manufacturing and all the challenges we face. And the perception in North America is that over here in Europe, everything's great and they've got all these kids getting into the trades. But that's something I learned this weekend in speaking to different people from mostly Germany, is that what I heard was that's not the case, and that there's a lot of work to do over here as well. So I think worldwide, we're facing that challenge to attract the next generation. But I'm optimistic because, over my career, I've seen quite the evolution in manufacturing. When I started, the first 6 months, they were still feeding CNC machines with a ticker tape, if anyone remember what that is. And before we got our first CAD CAM system, and then 5 or 6 years ago, we got into automation, which immediately doubled our spindle time on our machines. And now robotics automation is becoming more commonplace. We're on the verge of huge developments with AI. So, yeah.
I think, and you mentioned AI, and I'm very, very optimistic as well. But a lot of people, even a lot of manufacturers, they tend to focus on a technology and not necessarily understand how important it is to integrate that technology into your systems. Here, and AI is a good example. We were speaking about a little bit earlier that if you're going to use AI in the factory floor, then you need sensors. You need to get the data somewhere. You need the IoT. You need vision systems probably as well, especially on the quality control side. You need cybersecurity to keep things safe. And then think about AI, but you're also embedding that AI in automation systems, robotics, autonomous products, and autonomous vehicles, autonomous equipment here. So and of course autonomous robots too, Gabe. And so it to me, I think while the future is full of opportunity, especially around technology side, I go back to some of the information that groups like Deloitte or Bain or Accenture tell us, that major transformation projects with technology, that 75% or more fail to meet their business objectives. And that's really has nothing to do with the technology itself. It has a lot to do with the management, with the leadership and management of companies. And I don't think Canada is alone in this. I think everybody is struggling with questions about, if you're going to make an investment in technology, well, what's the return on investment? But it does go back to thinking very differently about your business. It can't be business as usual anymore, because the technology capabilities of AI, in particular, the capabilities of advanced manufacturing, are really revolutionizing the entire business of manufacturing. You can use AI to identify, rather than come at this from a point of view of how can I use AI to improve a process. Well, AI can help you actually determine whether that process is valuable or not there. But it comes down in many ways just to some really sound manufacturing principles. Focus on, first of all, as a business, where do you add value for your customers and for your customers' customers, and what would your customers be prepared to pay for there? And if you have a pretty good idea of that, and how you can generate more value for customers, then begin to identify what your critical processes are and ways to improve that. But it may not just be through technology. It may be through operational management systems and continuous improvement that can help you improve improve your process without technology, but when you do use technology, then do it appropriately in the part of the process that makes the most sense. And then, as I was saying before, and this is what NGen really focuses on, integrating technologies into a solution that you can not only manage or afford, but you can manage as well, and figuring out where to go for those capabilities and how to put that integrated solution together to make it work for a or for your company as a manufacturer. So I mean, it's in many ways exactly the same types of management principles that we've been talking about I've been talking about for 35 years here. That hasn't changed, I don't think. I don't think the technology isn't changing what has to be done to manage well. But it sure is providing companies with a much more of a potential, much more of an opportunity. And as I was saying before, much more of an opportunity to create new types of value. Now we're in a world now where every piece of equipment is potentially a data platform. And then how do you use that data to create the value, the new value, the services that are going to differentiate your company from everybody else? So I think, and this is where I think, again, when we're facing these challenges, and particularly the economic challenges we're facing today, the plain truth is that your customers aren't going to stop buying just simply because your costs are going up, because they need your product, they need your service. And the more you can embed yourself in as a valuable partner in that supply chain, the better off you are in today's world. But again, this is what I think where Canada really stands out: the ability to attract companies and to retain companies that have that flexibility, have the mindset around customization, around value for customers. I think is really key. We're going to probably wrap up, but let me just ask everybody if for maybe some closing comments around whatever you'd like to talk about. What's the future of the mold makers? And Daryl, first of all.
Yeah, you mentioned that how every piece of equipment is a data collection, right? I'd say that also your people are data collection.
Yeah.
So one of the keys is, how do you combine all that information? So what if you develop a system that's collecting all the information from the machine? Or, say this mold has troubles and mold maker A knows how to fix it. If you can record all that information, so next month when it goes down on the afternoon shift and it's mold maker B fixing it, how does he do the same thing that mold maker A did, right? If you've got that all in a system where he can research it, look it up, it's enabled by AI, then you're not wasting time trying different things, right? And then that way you can develop a system.
Yeah. I think that is sort of a YouTube for fixing stuff on the factory floor.
Yeah.
But a great idea, Denis.
Yeah.
What for the Centre Metallurgie? Where do you see the?
Yeah, it's as you
forward.
said, AI now it's a big topic. So we can't just say AI doesn't exist. You need to use it. And like every, I think, research center or university, we collect a lot of data. But before we just collect the data, storage in the computer, and when the project is finished, if I leave my job, the new one taking my job, we don't know what I did. So one of the things with AI, I think we can collect all this data, use it, and improve the development of alloy or whatever you want. And this we will win time. And when we win time, we win also. Company wants to work with you because you know, oh, yeah, we don't need to wait 10 years to have this, or maybe it will be just 1 year. And when we win time, you also lose less money because time and money are linking together.
Hey, Denny, Gabe.
Thanks, Jay. You mentioned a couple different points that I'd like to add some of my thoughts to. In terms of the Canadian robotics ecosystem, so what's important is companies that are part of the whole robotics sphere in Canada, there has to be those companies that provide supply chain value. So what does that look like? It could be like highly specialized distribution companies that know how to integrate robot components. So think about servo motors, strain wave gearing, encoder feedbacks. So in order for in Canada for there to be kind of like the knowledge base for an entrepreneur or a business person to put money into starting a new company, there needs to be already some sort of a surrounding knowledge base, right? That tribal knowledge that we can't afford for it to flee. I think Daryl commented earlier on that. We sometimes, engineering talent goes to other places, and so what we're trying to do here is make sure that talent stays and that they start companies in Canada, and only then will we be able to kind of grow that adoption, right? It's kind of like the chicken or the egg, which comes first. That was the first point. Second is that we need to look sometimes to what other countries are doing, and so one of the strategies that we've set ourselves here is understand what's working in Europe, and so taking that back home and sharing those insights with the council.
Super. Well, listen, thank you all. Before we go, I've been talking a little bit about AI, but we're not the group that should be talking about AI because we have one of the world's experts in AI right here in the front row. Katya, put up your hand. So anybody who wants to talk about AI, Katya is the person to meet here as well. Listen, thank you very much, and thank you for joining us today. I hope we'll all see you back in Canada very soon, especially if you have a few $1 billion that you want to invest there. But again, I think all of the Canadian delegates here, we're very, very privileged to have been recognized as the first alliance country for EMO. I think I was saying the other day, and for anybody who wasn't at the international reception, Canada likes hockey, and our values as a country are in many ways a reflection of a good hockey game. We like to play by the rules, and we don't like it when a bully storms off and leaves his skates behind, or skates off the ice and leaves his sticks behind. We are fast, we're skilled, we're highly innovative in the way that we play the game, and we like to have fun. And I think that's where a lot of the strength comes in, not only in playing hockey, but in the advanced manufacturing sector as well. So listen, thank you all very much for joining me here today, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you.